Oh, man. NASCOURT got heated today. It was absolutely insane to see what has come out today. And obviously, they did not have people in the courthouse that were recording this stuff or putting video out, but we got quotes from different members of NASCAR, 2311, in general, just everyone involved in this thing. Michael Jordan talked about it afterwards. Let's not waste time. Let's just jump right into it. First one here is from Toby Christie, who says Judge Bell says an order will come next week when it comes to the preliminary injunction, but he cautioned both sides that he will not put up with how much sparring they did in court today at the jury trial in December when that happens. Just kind of give you a little bit of what's to come. Then he also says Judge Bell also warned that there is a lot of redacted components in the filings. And if this goes to trial, those will all be unredacted, including the golden code, which Jeffrey Kessler says was NASCAR's plan to continue operating cars themselves without team owners. Matt Weaver also kind of elaborated on these points with different quotes, saying that they would lean heavily on the Xfinity and truck teams, but 2311 side says they just wanted to own the entire series, cars, teams, everything outright. I'm just saying, that sounds very much like how the France family has operated this sport for a long time. Now, also, part of what Matt Weaver put out is Steve Loletta from 2311 texted in the chat about the France family and about changes, the 2311 text chain that, quote, Jim France dying is probably the answer. Wow. I never thought on a professional level we would see something like that from somebody with so much to lose, so much professionally there. I'm sorry, I get heat of the moment and everything like that, but even you take out the professional aspect, those kind of words, those are just relationship killing words on any point. I don't know how you would come back from that, even if you use heat of the moment as your excuse for it. I'm not saying that I think that NASCAR's in the right by any means, but I am saying that I don't think the teams are 100% on the right of how they've been reacting and acting with this stuff so far. The thing is, it just gets crazier from here, from the things that NASCAR says, from the things that 2311's parties say. For instance, Bob Pockrass puts on here, there was also a text chain of NASCAR executives and the Frances after a meeting over a draft of the charter agreement, where Steve O'Donnell characterized it as F the teams. That would bring the sport back to Southern roots, tiny sport of 1996. Now, we don't know what exactly they're talking about with it, but I have to assume it has to do with money payouts. It has to probably do with rule changes, with the cars, everything all together with it. I would assume the team's probably wanting, at least rules-wise, the cars and ownership and different pieces of their teams to consolidate with them. But we don't know for sure. We don't know 100% for sure what it would be. Hell, I'm sitting here like, please let it be the old point system. I doubt it will, because that is so far away from what we are talking about with some of these things. But it's interesting to see that's how far apart they all are. That's how those in charge of the sport are looking at this whole thing. Now, also, Matt Weaver put at one point, Phelps typed in, give them, quote, a contract, pick a date, and sign it or lose their charters. So at least from the way they're making it sound, that was probably Steve Phelps that would be the one that spearheaded that idea. Now, I will say this. Publicly, Steve Phelps has stayed very quiet on the issues between 2311 Front Row and themselves, the teams, the charters, all of that. He has stayed, I would say, almost uncharacteristically quiet in a public sense. Steve O'Donnell has kind of been that way too. You see this stuff and it's kind of like, well, maybe there's a reason why they've been so quiet. Maybe there's those skeletons in the closet they don't want coming out anytime soon. They also said NASCAR teams showed documents that suggested NASCAR worked to head off an attempt that the teams could start their own, quote, copycat series, and that they would need to lock down Speedway Motorsports to prevent the relationship. Obviously, that would probably be the case, as SMI would probably have more to lose losing NASCAR and the connections with the different events and things like that. But man, those were some pretty freaking dire straits with it. And Bob Pockris also says, quote, that the judge has some strong statements. I should say, quote, if either party feels certain that they're going to win, they're wrong. That there are real disputes of fact. So while they can file motions for summary judgment, this case will go to trial if there is no settlement. Now, I'll bring it back to me here on this one because Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, and Jeffrey Kessler came out afterwards for a short little 2-minute speaking terms with the media. Jeffrey Kessler said a bit, and honestly, it was just kind of lawyerese, corporatese, saying the right little things that we've all heard him say before. But Michael Jordan was the interesting one here. And listen, I am not some expert on body language or anything, but based on how he looked and how he talked and the fact that he wanted to keep talking when they tried to usher him away, I think Michael Jordan had a lot more that he wanted to say. But he did give some interesting quotes here. So I have them written down on notes. He said, I look forward to going down with a fire when it comes to how this thing goes. So it looks like he's going to go down to the very end. Hell or high water, 23XI goes out of business. Doesn't matter what, he's going to go all out for it. But he says, quote, for the betterment of the sport. And that's what he and Denny Hamlin and Jeffrey Kessler, that is their big thing. It's for the betterment of the sport, the betterment of the teams, except I don't think that it's a bed of roses, because another one of the quotes that was in the Twitter threads everyone had is that he called them effers, the other teams that signed, and Joe Gibbs Racing, and pussies for it, and was very adamant that he did not like the direction the teams chose to go with this, that the teams folded and they shouldn't have. They should have held firm. And that to me shows that there was definitely the effects given from NASCAR, that when they were trying to kind of almost union bust this thing to try and split them all up like they had talked about doing, I think it worked, because it sounds like, and if they were that mad, more than likely there was at least some understanding that they could be having a little bit more of a fight against NASCAR, against the man, if you will. They also had said, and this is Michael Jordan's words, that they've always been open to a settlement. Now, I will also say, I think that this is probably something that you got to say almost. You can't just go out there and be like, nope, we've never been open to any kind of teamwork, this, and this. I really take that with a grain of salt, personally. And then also says, as he was getting ushered away, he completely expected the cheap shots that NASCAR took at him in the courtroom. So it sounds like, based on how the judge talked, it sounds like based on how Michael Jordan talked, and based on how the media talked, it sounds like they all threw barbs at each other in the court, and it got a little bit ugly. And the thing is, I think this is only going to get uglier, because I don't think this has an easy end. Now, call me cynical, say that I'm a negative person, that I'm a negative Nancy, all those things, but you got to think of it like this. If there's one thing that's historically been true about NASCAR, it's the France family. It has stayed the same. It has stayed true. It has stayed that byline for over 75 years of this sport. From the very inception in the Streamline Hotel, it has stayed this way. And they have not bowed to anyone, whether it be Big Bill with his first race at Talladega and just basically taking any slappy they could to put the field together when the drivers didn't want to be out there. When it comes to the edict that Bill France Jr. put out, basically NASCAR has been around before you and will be around after you. From Brian France going against the grain of what everyone really wanted in the garage with points formats, cars, rule changes, and now Jim France and what he's trying to push forward. The France family has never shown running this sport that they are going to back down and just collaborate and give up power. If anything, they're wanting to consolidate more power as they go. So I don't think the France family settles. I don't. It's up to 23XI and Front Row to show up and say, okay, we give up. And I don't think they're going to do that either. I think this goes to the bitter end, and NASCAR will never be the same again, no matter what happens, even with a settlement. But especially if there's not, we will never see NASCAR the same way again, and how it's run and how we look at the people running it. None of it. I'm not surprised by a lot of it. I'm surprised by maybe how far they went, but I'm not surprised how heated this has all gotten. With that, I want to pass it to you. What do you think of all Are you on NASCAR side, the team side, Team Chaos side, or do you think that this thing is just FUBAR? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.